Right, so you got myself, DJ Prism. We've got Point Two, and this is a 24 carat artist interview, profile interview. I'm not sure what to call it really. It's the first time we've done this, so let's see what happens. I've got a set of questions. We've had a little chat just to get ourselves warmed up. Haven't spoken properly for a while, have we? But had a little
No,
chat,
it's been a while.
and I've got about 15 questions that I'm going to ask you that link into yourself as an artist and what you do, where you're from, where you're going. I suppose a little bit about where you're going. But yeah, so should we get into it?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay, so first things first. A question that I want to know is where did your music journey begin? So you know, what was you doing before you were a DJ? Was you a raver?
Uh, yeah, so I first started probably 1992. I went to my first rave, so I was 12. My mum dropped me off thinking it was like a blue light disco sort of thing.
Brilliant.
But it kind of really wasn't. So that was really good. At the time, it was all like James Brown is dead and O
Yeah.
Fortuna, that kind of stuff. So we're talking that kind of time frame. Um, and yeah, so I just went there by myself, like I didn't know anyone. My mum took me there and dropped me off because she's so I could meet people, sort of thing.
Yep.
And then I was supposed to find my own way home. So my mum was really good. It just kind of left me there, and that was it. But yeah, so I started kind of at the time. I was yeah, I was about 12, so it was hard to find the music as well. So like it was more went to this rave, and then to find the music out after that because I've never heard anything like that before. I
Yeah.
had to sort of listen to the radio. There was like this one show on it, like on a Thursday at about 1 o'clock in the morning. So I had to wake up, I'd tape it, and then go back to sleep, and then listen to it, and
Got
then
ya. Yep.
so then after that, I kind of didn't hit raves or anything for ages. Well, a couple of years, but I
Right,
kept
just
listening to
question.
this music.
Question. I'm just going to interrupt for a second here. So, question there. So, not everyone knows this, but so you live in Tasmania. Have you
Yeah.
always been in Tasmania, or was this like was you in mainland Australia at the time? What's
Yeah,
the
so this
setting there?
this time I was born in England, moved over here way younger, so like I hadn't done anything. I just like I think I was 9 around that age. Um, so I was English, and my parents are English, and my background is English and that. But at the time we'd moved to I was in Adelaide, so mainland
Yep.
Australia. Um, and yeah, I mean, even like internet didn't exist then either, so you couldn't just Google something or anything like that. It was a really, this is when it was underground and really
Yeah.
underground sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I didn't even know what to call it. Back then, it was just sort of techno. That was what it was called, um, and that's all you would kind of like be able to kind of say that's what I liked or whatever.
Yep.
I didn't even know the word rave at that time either. Um, and yeah, so it was all just sort of coming up, and you just have this one kind of radio show. It was called Triple R, which was community-based radio, so it wasn't even a mainstream sort of radio station or anything.
Yep.
Um, and yeah, so there was a community that sort of was growing around that radio show, so you would call in and give shout outs to like your mates and things like
Got
that.
ya. Yeah.
um, but I didn't know anyone then either, so to me it was all just this whole new world and this new lingo and all of this stuff. um, so I used to just try and find this music, like I was just like in awe of this music. Synthesizer music was just like this sound that I'd never heard before. um, and I just kind of did what I could to try and track down as much of it as I could. So I used to just collect these tapes that I would tape, um, and then yeah, like I just kind of I moved from Adelaide to Perth in 1994, um, and I sort of found this other guy who was sort of like into the same sort of music as me.
Got ya.
No
Yep.
one else sort of really kind of understood it and that, and then it just kind of went from there. So I actually went to buy some turntables off this guy that like we'd heard from and all of this stuff. Still didn't really understand any of it. just thought, well, you need turntables. Like that's sort of how you make this music, you know.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
And I mean, I had no idea. I just wanted to sort of know how to make this music and how do you get these sounds and all of this. But yeah, just didn't know until later on, sort of thing. When the internet sort of started coming about and all of that. But yeah, then we just sort of practiced with these records. We just got literally 4 records we had, and we used to just sit there and didn't really know what we were doing with them either, but we just sort of, that's how we sort of started the journey. That was it. Like, just got this itch, and then it went from trying to find the music on the radio station to trying to find records, you know, like trying to find new records with these sounds.
So was that was that your start of mixing? Did you have like 2 decks and a mixer, or was you just playing like, because a lot of people don't realise this, I suppose, about that early 90s journey. It's like, if you look at like some of the pioneers had like one Technics and one belt drive and like this really shoddy mixer where that was all you could afford or get a hold of at the time, and you just kind of made it work. And you know, the technology that's available now, where you can just plug in a USB stick and just like it's all already synced and you don't need to do anything. It's like it's a very different journey now, isn't it, compared to what we done back then, where you had to kind of push and pull your record to make it stay in time. And you know,
I think I skipped a little bit, because what we used to do was originally I had 2 tape decks. And we took the top off the tape deck so you could control the like the speed of the tape, and we would try and at the time I had them hooked into another stereo, and it was more just trying to mix it without sort of like no mixer or anything, just sort of trying to make these tracks make sense sort of together, so we could listen to them together, sort of thing. And we did that for a little bit, and then that's how we got onto the vinyl, because someone was saying, we heard someone say you need records, like it's all about records. And then so this guy, we had this, and I still can't find the name, the make of it, but it was a Gemini turntable. It was raised, and it was a belt drive, all black, and I've been trying to find it because I would love to. I've never seen them after. It was this Gemini thing. It was built like a tank, but yeah, it was belt drive. And then we had a Technics, but it wasn't like a 1200 or anything. It was just this like Technics deck that it had a little pitch control.
Little tiny one, I know the one.
Yeah, like a little nipple or whatever, and you'd sit there. And I mean, it didn't mean anything to us because we weren't really doing any of that. We didn't really understand about beat mixing and that. It was just trying to make them so like I always thought back then, it was just you get the intro and you just without any beats or anything, and then you mix it over the one with the beats, and so that was what it was sort of all about at that time. I mean, this tank of a mixer. I think it was a Gemini as well. The thing was like, you know, it was rubbish, but it got us to be able to do sort of what we thought we needed to do, sort of thing. And I mean, the records, I can't even remember, they weren't even good. Like, they were just like not even like the same genre sort of thing, like vaguely, but not even really like, you know, like we weren't mixing happy hardcore or anything like that. It was just random like sound sort of vibe. And so we just started doing that, and that sort of just kicked it off. Like I didn't really have much money, so I didn't have any chance of buying decks or anything. But as we started growing with it and that, you know, we found a couple of record stores that started getting in this kind of music and that. So we used to just live there and got to know the person and stuff like that. And just through learning like kind of what things were and kind of that, we kind of branched out a bit. And then another one of our friends actually bought proper turntables. Well, having said that, they weren't even. It was a Denon DJP 1000, which was sort of like this Technics. It's got a little nipple-y thing for pitch control and that. But his big brother got an MC303. He was sort of like, he was more into it, obviously because he was a bit older and that. So he got like this turntable, and we matched it up with this other turntable, so we started sort of getting more of a vibe of things, and then it just started going from there. I used to just go around his house. I couldn't afford turntables, but I was the one going and buying the records because I could afford records.
Got you. So it was like almost like a collective to get what you got done.
So everyone wanted me to go over because I had the records. You know, none of them had the records, or couple of records, and so that's how I sort of started. Like just I had the records and was able to do it, and they used to have me over. Like I used to just live over there, kind of basically, and slowly but surely we just kind of got into it. So it's no idea what we were doing.
Kind of like a bedroom DJ start in that respect, or so like just like kind of.
Yeah.
So
we used to have our crew. So you'd have like 3 or 4 of us, and this is when I was like 14, 15, 16. So you know we were starting to get out and about by ourselves and that, and you know that's when I started sort of going out to sleep over, and we kind of hit these raves, but we still weren't calling them raves. They were just sort of things to go to, sort of thing. You get the flyer when you're in the record store and go down there. But yeah, so we used to sit in a group in this room that was like tiny, but it had the decks and the speakers, and because he used to live with his mum and that, so it was just a study sort of thing. But we'd take it in turns, so you'd have like, this is why they wanted me, because I'd have more records, so then we used to go 2 tracks, and you would sort of wait your turn and go around in circles and stuff like that. So yeah, that's it. And then we just kind of fed off each other, like the energy and things like that. And that's sort of just what kicked it off. Like that was it. That was, I kind of remember this one day, because I used to have all the tapes as well, because I used to love, like, I was a train spotter back then, still am sort of vibe, but like I used to have all the tapes, so I'd be listening to them every time I go to bed and things like that. And I remember listening, and I heard that the snare never really changed in the tracks when they mixed them. And I remember one night, because I used to listen to it really quietly, and so all you could hear was the of the snares. And I was like, that's how you mix. That's it. Like, you just have to match the friggin' snares up. Like, that's the key.
So
you know what I mean?
You discovered beat matching.
That's how I discovered, and I didn't even know what it was, but I just figured that's how you did it. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it took fucking ages for me to learn, like, obviously. But, yeah, there was no tutorials, no nothing. But
no, there wasn't back then, was there? There was no, like you say, part of it is because there was no real internet in the way that we use the internet now. So you couldn't just go to YouTube and find a video of how to mix. It just didn't exist back then. You just had to get the equipment and force yourself to learn to beat match. And some people knew what the word beat match meant. Some people didn't. You just had to somehow discover it, didn't you? Basically.
Yeah. I mean, literally. We're talking the time, I think, just as I started getting to learn to like mix, Merc came out on the internet. So Merc, you know, IRC.
Yeah.
So finally we could connect with people from around the world, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And it was still like very basic, you know what I mean? Like there was, I don't know if you obviously know Merc and IRC. And
I was.
A lot of people probably don't, but it was just, you know, text sort of, you know.
Yeah, it's like a messenger chat box, wasn't it? In reality, if you're looking at a new terms, it was like a messenger chat box, wasn't it? You know, but
yeah. So that then sort of became, the world opened up a little bit more, you know, because we were finally talking to people in the UK, you know, getting to know some of the, like, even just what genres were called and things like that. And obviously then by that time things were starting to, like, open up in the, like, raving world as well. You had happy hardcore and house, and, like, jungle was starting around that time, and things like that. So it was all sort of, we were growing with the scene kind of thing. So it kind of, everything was a logical step forward, and like more aha moments, like, oh my god, this is what it is, and things like that. So yeah, so that's what started me. And then just this passion of just wanting to learn it, like, as much as I could. It was a whole world, you know. It was kind of sticking it to the man sort of thing. There was no mainstream involved. It was all underground, and
definitely.
You know, you kind of, it was secretive and new and all of this stuff, and yeah. So when you found someone else that was sort of into that, you'd kind of latch onto them and be all like, oh my god, like. And I mean, UK was probably a lot different, but Australia, like, you got to understand, like, there was only a handful of us to start off with that were
Yeah.
really kind of pushing that, you know. Um, so yeah, it was just that the desire to just want to figure out more and more about it, I suppose.
So that was your DJ journey. So what about now? What do you use now when you're playing, like, on the
Now,
radio, or you know?
now I got this horrible, crappy little controller at the moment. Um, I stick with Serato. I've always been Serato. Originally, I never wanted to get a controller. I
Mm-hmm.
hated them. I went from vinyl, you know, begrudgingly. I mean, I went from Perth to Sydney on a 3 day bus trip to go and move to Sydney. And all I had was a crate of vinyl and $200 and basically the clothes on my back, because I was never going to sell these records ever, you know.
Yeah.
But obviously, through time, practicality, and getting records over here is really expensive. So um, it was all about trying to. And I was always like, well, how am I going to afford to keep buying all these new tunes coming out? You know, because it started getting more and more like tunes were getting released. I don't know if you
More
remember, like
regularly, yeah, yeah,
like at the start, you'd go to I would get the tape packs, and you would hear the same tracks. Like the DJs would play
yeah,
basically the same tracks throughout the night. Like you would hear, you know, like Peace, Love and Unity like 10 times in every set, or like throughout the night, you know what I mean?
yeah,
But slowly but surely things, like more releases. So I was just like, well, how are you gonna, you can't keep paying. Over here it was like $20 for a record. That's if you could get them.
yeah,
So then obviously MP3s started coming, CDJs. So I went to CDJs. Um, I used to not like CDJs. It took me ages to get used to that jog wheel thing, and I was just like, man, this sucks. Like,
yeah.
you know, I liked vinyl, but
I had one of those,
yeah, and then
the flat CDJs, you know, the ones where it had the two discs that come out of the front with
yeah,
a lot
yeah,
controller.
yeah.
Oh, I fucking hated that, honestly.
Well,
Sorry,
yeah,
shouldn't be swearing, but I hated that so much.
my
Yeah,
mate got the Denon ones of them, and they at the time they were like the best, you know. Like,
mm,
and now I look at them and I'm like, oh, they just made me cringe. And
yeah,
then finally, I could afford CDJ. What were they? 400s, Mark IIs, the Pioneers. I can't
yeah,
remember the silver ones. And I got them, and I was like, well, I'm gonna have to learn it. You know, like I'm really gonna have to sort of learn how to use these things. So because they were becoming club standard then, you know,
yeah,
vinyl was sort of getting out there, and the DJM 400 as well. So it was pretty pimped setup for the time. And I was just like, well, I'm going to force myself to learn these, and it really was a whole new kind of mission to sort of learn them. But and then the controllers started coming out, and I was another one of those. I don't want to get a controller. What's the point? You may as well just sit there with a mouse, kind of thing. And I couldn't understand the logic. But long story short, obviously, I got onto controllers. So
yeah.
now I use this like horrible tiny thing until I can afford. I just had my other one break not long ago, so I've got this little one. So I use that. I still stick with Serato. I should kind of get something Pioneer. So, but I mean, I've kind of come to the conclusion I'm never going to really be able to mix in a club or anything. So I don't really need the industry standard.
No,
So
no, I think there's no. I think the thing with mixing is like, as long as you can still do that beat matching, it doesn't really matter what equipment you're using. And if you're playing on, you know, for yourself, if you're playing on the radio and getting your fix, if you like, because DJing has got its own buzz, hasn't it? You know, it's different to producing music and getting music
yeah,
out there for other people to listen to. When you're actually mixing, whether it be your own tunes or somebody else's tunes or a collection of tunes, there is a buzz to that. Getting two tracks that like fit together nicely and getting a whole set that has got a flow to it. So you know, that's got its own buzz anyway, hasn't it? Do you know what I mean? So you don't need. It's nice to have an audience, and yeah, it's nice to DJ in clubs or raves or whatever. But just being able to do it is equally as much of a buzz at times, isn't it?
Yeah, like I mean, obviously I do radio now, and
Mm.
it's like my therapy, you know.
Yeah,
But I still just enjoy each week getting to listen to tracks, and like I
yeah,
still just get that buzz. I used to just like when I first started with the MP3s and that. Yeah, it was all about like you get paid and then just go on Beatport and then or Juno, and you basically spend the whole pay
I'll pay
slash
back.
night just listening to oh yeah, and add them
Man.
into the cart. It was just too easy,
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
so that's sort of what I did like, and I still get that buzz out of doing that. Like going on and listening each week for the new ones and things like that. Like if anything, now I'm more spoiled because I can just mix whatever I sort of want. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
I don't know. It costs a dollar. Well, over here like $2.10 or something
Yep.
for a track, and yeah, like it's just
It is quite good. That's the one thing that I mean, I don't really DJ so much nowadays. I've got like a whole stack of vinyl, and I've got a controller, which I recently sort of come into play with, and I've only actually used that to mix my own tracks. And I've got like a DJ one event recently, and I've got a couple of bits booked for the not too distant future. But I find like the whole, for me, it's more of a production journey than a DJ journey. But it's like DJing it's got its own thing, hasn't it? You get something out of it. But I was going slightly off track there. But what you're kind of getting at is like the amount of music that's available at such an affordable price now, digitally, compared to like if you want to buy a vinyl record, you're looking at £23, which is what, $40-50
yeah,
over there. Do you know what I mean? It's like
exactly.
it's a
Yeah,
lot of money to buy
yeah,
vinyl nowadays, whereas you can buy a digital track for $2 or £1. So
yeah,
you can really
nothing.
have your feel at a good cost.
And the thing, like, always, like, I suppose back in the day, was you hear dub plates and you'd just be like, wow, like, people just have these things given to them or this track that's new that no one's got. And now,
Yeah,
like, it's just like common thing, like, oh, here's a dub, And it's like,
yeah,
oh my gosh. But yeah, so, like, it's always having to move, like, rave music has always been about, like technological advances and stuff as well. I mean, it's
yep,
always done that, and that's across the board. Like I remember the first rave I went to, it was a set of traffic lights and a fog machine for like the setup.
traffic
That was
lights.
sort of it.
Oh, brilliant.
But and now you've got like you look at some of these bloody videos of nights, and it's just like, my God, I couldn't even imagine. Like all these
Yeah,
lasers and
yeah,
so like, it's across the board. Like it's not just music. Like it's not just the production. It's not just the controllers. It's everything. You know what I mean? So
yeah. True.
whether you like it or not, you have to keep moving forward with it.
Yeah,
Um, so, but I like to still think that. I mean, I have turntables that I still mix with. I love my turntables. I don't really use them. It's more for myself. I have a massive record collection that's like too big. But like yeah, like I always have to. I like to think that I haven't lost the spark of what I loved about the music sort of thing.
mm.
The thing that drove me to the start of it is still the thing that drives me now, which is just hearing a good tune. Like
Yeah,
literally, I just finished radio a couple of hours ago, and there was a track on there that I hadn't really listened to properly, and I rewound it myself because I was just like, oh my god, this tune is sick. You know what I mean?
nice.
And I still get that, and I think if
Yeah,
ever I was to lose that, then I would move on because like. But I don't think I will because
no,
that's
no,
what I love about this
definitely.
industry and what I do.
So we've had quite a lot of questions. Most of it's actually been from my set of questions that I've got here, but I'm going to throw one out specifically here. So, what events have you actually played at? What venues have you been to, and what events have you played at? And have you ever lost
So
any equipment or any records?
yeah, there's been a few horror stories. A lot of them I used to play a lot of parties.
Yeah,
The unfortunate thing for me, which was when I started getting kind of good, debatably, I became a chef. So the thing is I used to sort of work a lot more instead of the music sort of had to take a back step. I left home and I had to earn money. So that sort of became the thing that stopped me ultimately for a while. Um, But I had a residency in a club in Sydney. But most of them I used to do parties. I
Yeah.
used to just do like people used to get me over at parties,
Yeah.
so house parties or like little halls and stuff like that. Um, a lot of the ones from Perth, I can't remember. It's just really bad. I can't remember their names. I did a few that were just like mainly low key. I was never one of these like I did massive kind of events or anything. Mainly because I just wanted to be there
Yeah.
and dance. Like I didn't want to have to not like wait half the night to kind of get into it and things like that. And
Yep.
I was just more of a party person. But yeah, so I've done a few. Like as I say, I had a residency in Sydney. This place called Sonic Friction, which was quite good. There was quite a few events there that was like quite big. And that was in King's Cross, so they're right in the middle of King's Cross.
Yep.
But I saw a lot of things go down there. I have lost a few records over the time. The thing is I never know when specifically, but then I'll be like, one of the biggest ones that I lost, which I really to this day still am quite like crappy about, was Circles, the Circles remix.
Right. Yep.
I kind of the Andy C remix, that whole record, that was one of my favourite. And to this day, I don't know where I was at the house party, and I think I left it there, and I'm still so salty. The thing is like once again, like over here, you kind of knew everyone, especially in Perth. The scene was really tight, so you would kind of think, or like to think that. Yeah, if you lost a track, someone would give it back, and most of the time that would happen. You'd be like, you'd leave a few tunes there, you'd see someone the next week, and they'd just be like, oh, you left these here, or whatever. But the one I'm most salty about still, and this is like going on nearly 30 years, is that I had the Circles track. I was just like, oh man. But you wouldn't know about it until afterwards. And even now, I still go, oh man, I've got this track, and I don't. And I'm just like, oh man. Like I've obviously lost it because yeah, I cherish my records, and especially now. But back in the day, I was probably a little bit more like, now, well, whatever, you know, like you did the whole like mix and you just put it down somewhere, and I wouldn't even be in the like back in the cover and things like that. And so yeah, but now I notice it more because I'll be like, oh, I've got that, and then you just like you don't. So it's like
not there anymore. Yeah.
Definitely lost a few things along the way, that's for sure. And another one that I lost was my bomber jacket. That was that was a big one as well. I used to love my bomber jacket, and I don't know, I put it down somewhere one night, and I think someone else took it, and I remember that night I was so like angry because I used to take it everywhere. Obviously, I love that jacket. But yeah, so I've lost a few things, but most of them I've tried to keep because, like as I say, I'm pretty OCD with a lot of that stuff. But
yeah, I've seen your colour schemes on your door. I've all the drums are yellow.
Exactly. 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. What's your favourite event that you've ever been to? Or the one that sticks out to you as being like the biggest or the favourite? What's the one that's the most memorable for you in that way?
The best one was Helter Skelter.
Nice.
It came to Australia. It was obviously not the Helter Skelter that you guys would know, but like Helter Skelter I always wanted to go to. I had like so many tape packs.
Yeah.
You know, it was my dream to just go there. Like I used to listen to these tapes in the car and whatever, and I just would picture being there. You'd hear the horns and the whistles, and I always wanted to go to Helter Skelter. And then I think in '97, Helter Skelter came to Australia, and it was mainly happy hardcore. But at the time, I was listening to happy hardcore. I really got into it, and
we'll forgive you.
But that event was huge. It was like the best event like I'd been to, and a bit for sentimental reasons because, as I say, it was Helter Skelter, but it was also huge. Like I think I'm pretty sure for some reason we had to move venues in halfway through the night. So even just that
Wow.
was like so funny because we were there until 12 and then we had to walk across to this other club because like I don't even know why the logistics or why we had to do it,
That's
but
pretty
and
mad.
that was its own mission sort of thing, and
Yeah.
everyone was all like amped and it was just like, but yeah, Helter Skelter 100%. It was probably, and then Helter Skelter 2 came out, but that sucked. That was like a couple of years later and it wasn't nowhere near as good. But definitely Helter Skelter. That was like hands down my favorite. I was never a festival person back when I was sort of main kind of thing of raving. Festivals weren't a thing. Like I don't know. I couldn't imagine.
No, yeah. I mean, the festival scene in the UK is quite interesting because it stems back to the '60s. It came about a long time before the rave scene did, because you had like Glastonbury Festival started in the '60s, but it kind of like the two merged together a little bit, I suppose, towards the mid to late '90s. You could go to a festival and there'd be like rave tents in a festival, or you'd have like the little travelling sound systems that would be playing the real deep underground side of what was going on.
Yeah.
So it was, yeah. So I mean, you might have had similar stuff over in Australia, but I don't know, to be honest
Yeah,
with you.
not that I
But
know of, but I mean, it wouldn't have been my deal anyway. We used to have like those, like we call them bush doofs, which was like raves in the bush kind of
it
thing,
sounds good.
and that would be, but I didn't like them because it's too dusty. It was like, you know, like I just didn't.
Oh, that's right up my
I'm a
street.
nightclub kind of person, you know. Um, but yeah, like I suppose World Dance. I think I remember looking at some of the World Dance things from the UK,
Yeah,
and they were sort of doing, I think, some of those big events,
yeah,
and I always wanted to sort of go to them. But for me, like it's always been like, you know, like Milton Keys, I think it is, and um, I can't even remember now, but yeah, like the Sanctuary and all
yeah,
of that. That's where I'd
yeah.
want to be. You know what I
Got you.
mean?
Yeah,
That to me was
yeah.
raving.
The
So
clubs. Yeah, nice, nice. Yeah, I went to a couple of the World Dance events, like the airport. So to be fair, and some of the bigger ones around the turn of the millennium as well, around London, and they were just so huge. You'd have like whole great big warehouses,
yeah,
like, and that was your dance floors. Like, and it'd be like you'd have like 3, 4 different warehouses that'd have like a jungle room, like happy hardcore room. You'd have like a chill out section in the happy hardcore room. What's happened to chill out rooms? Where have they gone? You know?
no one chills out anymore.
Yeah,
That's the thing.
no, but music's consumed in a different way now, I suppose, isn't it? And in a lot of like, the boiler room experience. What is that all about? 10 people in a club. That's not a club, is
Yeah,
it? But
yeah, yeah.
anyway, that's me going slightly off topic there. Radio stations. So, how many radio stations you've played on? And what's your favourite
Uh,
radio station to have DJ'd as well?
yeah, I've been on a few. I started. It's not a radio station, but I started. God, what would it have been? About 2000 and I don't even know. Around 2013, I think. I did about three and a half years of. I was on iTunes.
Yep.
I had a podcast. I used to just call it the Freestyle Frolics. It was just sort of. I would just kind of, yeah, like each weekend I tried to sort of produce it in a way that it was sort of like a radio sort of show. That's sort of what started me off on that format.
Yeah.
Then I sort of disappeared because I was just sort of like, then I got into production actually. My wife got sick and sound was kind of like a real trigger point to her, so I couldn't do the podcast anymore. And
Got
I've
you.
always wanted to be a producer, so that's when I took that time to sort of do that. But then I came back because I was lucky enough to get to know Danny Jenk, and he sort of had his own little core mission radio that he used
Yeah.
to do.
Yeah.
And he kind of invited me onto that, which I took like I took it on because for one, I was producing, so I thought, well, this is a great opportunity for me to sort of be able to play sort of what I wanted to play,
Yep.
and also for me to start filtering in my own tracks sort of thing at the time that I was making.
Yep.
So I did that for, I think it was getting to 2 years, and now I do underground bass. So
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to do more. The thing is the ones in Australia, I'm not really. There is a big scene in Australia.
Yeah.
Not where I am, Tasmania. There is not. I'm about the only person in the scene. Um, but I've never really. Not that I mean, I've respected it and I love the Australian scene, but for me, it's always been about the UK. Obviously, that's where the sound comes from mostly. Um, so I've tried to stick with the radio stations from the UK.
Yeah.
But the bad thing is the time difference, so
Yeah.
it's hard for me to
Yeah, I've
kind
noticed that
of.
because we got a few people that are involved with 24 Carat recordings, like DJ Sinister. He plays mostly on the UK radio stations, and like I think to myself, that must be really difficult at times, especially if you're doing like a 4 hour, 6 hour set. You finish DJing at God knows what time, like 10 o'clock in the
Well,
morning.
yeah, like
Yeah.
I talk with Sinister because I'm always in awe of like what he does.
Mm.
And his thing is he's nocturnal though. Like his life
Yeah.
is basically he is UK time.
Yeah.
But I have a family, and obviously I can't sort of transition into that.
Yeah.
And I used to be okay with getting up earlier, but now because I work like later, I can't as much anymore. So I used to sort of, when I first got into underground bass, I was doing core mission radio, and I was having thoughts about trying to kind of get into another radio station. But now I've just sort of had to kind of fine tune it. And underground bass is like where I want to be, sort of thing.
Yeah.
I love
Well, it's
the
probably the
crowd and,
longest standing. I think is their tagline, isn't it? It's the longest standing underground radio
yeah,
station in
well,
the UK.
30
So it's a
years or
good place to
something. They
be.
definitely know what they're doing.
Yeah.
But it's also a good family, you know.
Yeah.
And I'd rather have one that I do well, hopefully,
Yeah.
one that I kind of put my energy into,
Yeah.
than like just having, because I don't want to have overkill as well, and also production takes up more of my time now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like DJing's great, but it's all about production sort of thing. So
Yep.
um,
Yeah.
but
I hear that.
hand in hand though, you know.
Yeah.
If you're making tunes, you need to
You
get
need to
them
be
out
able to
there.
play 'em
So
as
there's
well,
no
yeah.
better way.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
So yeah.
So talking about production, then. So when did your production start? What were your influences? What made you want to produce music rather than DJing music? What made you kind of transition across into that area?
Well, it's like what I said at the start. You know, when I first started hearing this music, that I was like, "What the hell is this?" I was always on a quest to sort of find out how to make these kind of sounds.
Yep.
So there's sort of two lives for me with this production. Originally, you know, back in the day, I wanted to sort of produce because I wanted to make these sounds. So I had this dream of just like one day I want to get signed to a record label. Like that was my thing. As soon as I touched a record and realized that that's what it was, you know, so we're talking like 96, 97. I was just like, my whole drive and everything was to just want to make this music somehow and get signed. But I had no idea how, and I had no idea that it was ever going to actually happen.
Yep. Yep.
So I went through most of my life kind of just going, I have no idea. Then when I moved out of home, me and my mate, like, that's when the internet was sort of a bit more like approachable, and we were starting to figure out how to do these kind of things. Reason 1 just came out, so we got that. And I had no idea what to do with it, but I figured out that obviously this is how you sort of make those kind of sounds.
Yep.
But Reason was just this whole. I remember playing with like Maelstrom or whatever it is, that synth,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I was like, no one actually knows what any of these knobs
No,
do.
they're
Surely
just
they're
twiddling,
just
aren't
kind of
they?
running them around so they get this sound. So, and I had no idea basically, you know, but once again, I was just sort of like in awe of just you could make anything, you could start making sounds. And yeah, around that time, I think Noisy had just started up, and I was just like I wanted to be noisier. I was just like, this is just 4 dudes or whatever in an attic in their bedroom or whatever at home, just making music, you know.
Yeah.
And I didn't know anything about it really then, but everyone said if you want to make that kind of music, you need a virus synth, and you can make that kind of music. So I was just like, I need a virus. Like, I had no idea what it was or, anything like that.
Yep.
But that sort of started pushing me to like figure out kind of what these things were. And then, as I say, the internet started getting a little better. So could sort of start looking up things, but Google still wasn't, I think, around or wasn't that much of a thing then still. So you still didn't really know much. And then sort of fast forward, because my chef life sort of took over, and it was one of those bucket list pipe dream things. It would be nice one day if I could do it. But then I had an opportunity in 2007. I did my bachelor's degree.
I don't know whether you heard that or not. I had a alarm that went off in the background there. It's telling me it's time for lunch.
It's time's up.
Yeah.
But yeah, so in 2007, I had an opportunity. I met my wife at the time. She wasn't my wife, but I was living with her. And I wanted to go back to school, and I went to SAE. So I learned and did my bachelor's degree in audio production.
Yep.
Audio engineering. And that obviously opened up that world kind of thing. But I was still chefing. I was still kind of didn't have the time. I was working 80-hour weeks plus, so I didn't really have time to do any of it. Didn't have the money, didn't really kind of know what to do. And then, yeah, when my wife got sick, I sort of had to quit all my job and look after her. And I took that time to sort of then learn. Like, that was it. I was reading manuals. I was starting buying synths, and like it started off, I bought a drum machine and a TB3, which is 303 sort of clone. And my intentions then were to sort of just use it to kind of mix with the tracks that I was DJing for my podcast and that. But then, as I say, my wife couldn't handle the noise, so I bought her headphones, and I was just going to learn. That was it. Like, kind of like vinyl, like it's just always been a passion of mine, so it wasn't a thing for me to kind of just start learning. So when we were in hospitals and things like that, I was literally just reading synth manuals and just learning and
digesting.
And then I was making doorless jams, which were kind of cheesy house kind of techno crap.
You know what? I think we've all been there. It's like during the late 90s, I had a Korg drum machine, three Korg synthesizers, and then I got an MC303. They was all daisy chained together, so you press start on one and they all fucking done their thing.
That was it, sequencing them and all of that. Like I was making these tracks, and I remember this dude I went to school with, and I asked him, he went on to do his own sort of mastering service. So I asked him if he could master one of my tracks, and he just sort of was like dumbfounded that I wasn't making drum and bass. Because anyone who knows me knows it's like I love jungle drum and bass. Like it's just everything about me. And he was really dumbfounded, and I still remember this day because he was like, "Why aren't you making drum and bass?" And I said, "Well, because it's too hard. Like it's too technical. There's too much to learn. It's just like I'm never going to get to that point." And he was just like, "Well, no, you're never going to if you're not doing it."
Yeah.
And he was so dumbfounded that I wasn't doing it. And I just remember, like, he was just like his whole attitude of why aren't you doing it was the one thing that made me do it. Like, I was just like, well, he's just right. Like, I'm never going to know if I don't do it.
No.
And that's what started me on my drum and bass journey. I got into my DAW. I bought a DAW, and I thought, well, these hardware synths are good because I can sample them, and I love just, like, I'm an audio nerd, so I kind of kept growing with the synths. But yeah, I hit the DAW, and that's kind of what started me off. That was it.
So you've mentioned Reason. So what DAW do you use now, and what's
well,
your?
Now I use Ableton. The reason being is I started off with Reason. I did Reason 1, 2, and 3. I then went to school and learned. Oh, then I went Fruity Loops because Fruity Loops came out and I was PC, so started on Fruity Loops because I
Oh
was like,
man.
it just seemed a lot easier than
Yeah, it's
Reason.
a whole different thing,
Because
isn't it? It's like,
it
yeah,
sort of kind of was.
yeah,
And then I went to school and we had to learn Logic, so and I learned Pro Tools, but I kind of with an update I had, it cost me like $1,000. This Logic came in this box with like 12 CDs to install it. I think even more. It was huge. It was
Oh
massive,
man, you've just
and
reminded me of those days. Yeah.
yeah, like crazy box, like
Yeah.
and yeah. So then I lost it in an update. This is Apple for you. I think I went from High Sierra to Snow Leopard or something,
Yep.
and I didn't really know about these updates, and Logic just stopped, like it didn't work. So I kind of, that's when I said I don't like. This is why I went back to Well, this is why I went to hardware because I just didn't want to have to go through that again, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I kind of just felt like I sucked at all of them anyway. So if I just started new afresh, I would learn better and grow from there. Um, and then yeah, so I went doorless, and then I got Machine because I liked the look of the studio thing that they had, and it had all the pads and screens, and I was like, yeah, this will be awesome. And Machine sucked. I was just like, man, this is like rubbish. Um, so I bought Ableton. Long story short, I
Yep.
bought Ableton, and kind of that's been my door ever since. It was just something that was furthest away from Reason, and I used Cubase as well.
Yep.
When we moved out of house, I used Cubase. Because at the time my mates were that's when torrents were sort of pretty big and they were getting everything off torrents,
Yep.
but once again had no idea, like I'm just sort of putting samples in like sequences and just kind of making noise. But yes, to get serious, I got Ableton, so and I just thought, well, I'll stick with one. They all sort of similar. um, Sometimes I look at going back to Reason. You can get that now in a rack in Ableton and things like
Yeah.
that,
Yeah. Yeah. Because
which
yeah,
like
it's a rack extension now, isn't it? Which I think is a good
yeah,
idea actually. Because Reason as a door. I mean, I use Reason quite frequently. I've got two doors that I kind of mainly switch between, which is Fruity Loops or FL Studio and Reason, which are like almost like complete opposites of each other when like for the layout of the door and the way that they work. So I've
yeah,
got no idea why they're my two favourites, but they're the ones that I use the most.
yeah.
But yeah, I've forgotten where I was going with that now. But there's what was it you was just saying? I just had a point there I was going to bring in, but never mind. We're going to go, but doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. But yeah, something
Yeah,
along those
yeah.
lines. Yeah.
I do find though,
Oh,
for
it's
anyone that's
swapping back, wasn't it?
interested,
You're
like
saying about changing back to Reason or something. Yeah. But,
yeah, the Reason in a rack now,
yeah.
but
Yeah.
that's because I find different doors do lend themselves to sort of different production techniques, which
Yep.
then do have different sounds. I
Yes.
do think a lot of the time, not that I'm a nerd and I can go, that's made with Reason, but you can, when someone goes, I've made this with Reason, you can sort of hear Reason in it. I don't
Yep.
know, it's really weird. Like,
No, I
just,
agree. And when people make a track in Ableton, I notice this as well because if someone sends me a track to have a listen to, I'll know if the drums have been sequenced in Ableton. There's a slightly different sound, like a squelch to the like an amen break. Will have a slightly different squelch to it when it's been sampled and sequenced in Ableton compared with Reason, and again slightly different when it's been chopped up and put together in.
you can like that.
Yeah.
I find that because I think the sequencer in Reason, like it's got that like thing, and it's like its piano roll is sort of just, I don't know, like I can just sort of feel it when people say it, like
Yeah.
maybe it's just a placebo effect, but when people do say I've done it in Reason, then I listen to it, I can go, oh, yeah, I can see that, like I
Yeah.
don't know, like it's just, it is weird, but and it's like, yeah, well, when when I was at school, I had to learn Pro Tools. I used to record all my DJ sets through Studio One when I was doing my iTunes stuff.
Yep.
So I've learned a heap, but
Yeah.
I didn't mind Studio One, but I just thought I'll just get Ableton because I got the Launchpad thing, the one with
Yep.
the lights, and you can.
Yep.
So that came with Ableton, and I just thought, well, we'll just go with that. Like, I don't know, like, yeah. I'm not a DAW
It makes more
purist,
sense
so-
to just stick with one DAW, though, doesn't it? You know, and master one DAW rather than, you know. Because I've got Studio One myself, and I'm not anywhere near mastery with it because I've got these two other DAWs that I use frequently to make tracks again and again and again, and I really want to be able to master Studio One, but I just I'll start making a track and I'll get to this point where I go, oh, how do I do this? And it's something that I know how to do in the other two DAWs, and I just fuck it.
Well,
get it up,
I mean,
and
as
it
you
goes
know,
out
as
the
a
window.
producer,
Yeah.
it's all about the workflow.
Yeah.
And any minute you have to stop to sort of Google something or to take a
Yeah.
break to figure it out or something. It's too much.
It
Like,
slows
you may
your
as well
jam
just
down,
go with
doesn't it?
something,
Yeah.
you know? So
So that's going to get me. I was going to ask you about whether you've got any special tips for production, but I'm actually not going to ask that question because it's subjective to the DAW. It's going to be subjective to different people that are either listeners or producers. So we're not going to get
well, I do
into
have one.
into
I
that.
have one actually.
Yeah, go on.
Label everything properly. My
Yeah.
biggest thing is label everything. So when you save something, label it properly so you can
Yep.
find it again. Don't oversave over everything. Try and don't have 1,000 save files, but make sure you save regularly and separate them if you make a dramatic change.
Yeah.
But then also when you're sending it to labels, when you're sending it to friends, when you're sending it to your mum,
Oh my God. Yeah.
label it.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing worse than you get sent this banger of a track and it's just final wav.m
Yeah.
version 5
Yeah.
and you don't even know who sent it.
Yeah.
You don't know, you can't find it again. So that's my biggest tip. And it's something that nobody, not nobody, but a lot of people don't do.
No, I
and
enjoy.
it's the simplest thing, you know.
It is. It's something that you will see it again and again, don't you? Yeah, and I get the same. You know, we're both in the same position of being able to receive a lot of tracks. And yeah, there is nothing more annoying than not knowing who made something or what it's called.
It just looks, and it looks rookie.
Yeah.
To be honest,
Yeah.
if you want to put yourself out as someone who does this a lot and promote yourself, or give the appearance of what you're doing,
Yeah.
that's the first thing. Trust me,
100%.
because it's the biggest pet hate of mine. And if anyone's listening and cares, that's the biggest thing that I can tell anybody. To start off, just label everything properly.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't, and you're right in what you're saying, because even within the DAW, a lot of the time, you might have a working title for a track, and then when it's actually made, it's got a different theme or feel to it, and then you rename it before you produce it, or submit it, or place it in front of a label. But then if you need to go back and re-edit it, and you've forgotten that you've changed the name of the track. That as a
100%.
producer is really annoying, isn't it? Oh, what did I call that one? Jump Up number 3 or something.
yeah, all the time. And I'll even expand on that. Generally, what I'll do is once I finish a track, I will save it and then I will save it point to my tune.
Yep.
And then I will bundle it all in, so Ableton collect all and save, and that's my final thing. And I know then I'm finished with it. That's it. And then, so I might have Gaz's Blob or whatever as the first title, but then at the end, it's always going to be point to my track.
Yeah.
And it's all saved. Everything is exactly how it should be. So 10 years from now, if I wanted to open it and remix it or do whatever I wanted to or send it out for stems or whatever, I know I'm looking at that one. I'm not trying to find final mix version 9.7 or whatever.
100%.
So yeah, that's kind of
So next question then, and it's I know we talked about this a little bit earlier before we went on to the actual recording. So what labels have you released music with and worked with?
I'm very fortunate. Like I always say, I don't know what I've done, but I'm very fortunate to have worked with a lot of labels. Originally, when I first started off, my dream was to just get signed to one label, and just like I'm lucky enough now to sort of done a lot with a lot of labels. But definitely 24 Carats, that's sort of my home. That was my first label. Then Jungle Things Audio. Um, I've then gone on to Red Alpha, uh, Cobra. I've done a release. I've got a release coming up soon. Underground Bass Audio, which is sort of being a feed off from the radio, but then also I've got more releases coming on.
Nice.
Gosh, I can't. I always forget people.
K2.
Oh, Geomagnetics. Yeah, and then I've got Night Force coming up, which
Oh yeah,
like,
that's
that's sort of my
yeah,
big one.
yeah.
Gosh, I think that's about it. I'll probably remember more when I kind of. It sounds like whatever, Gaz, but I like different labels because I can do different things with different labels.
Mhm.
Red Alpha, I kind of hit more like drum and bass sort of vibes.
Yeah.
Drum Pusher, I did a collab with Danny Jenk on that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like I have different things. So like 24 Carats is like jungle, but then Danny also will release things that he just likes. So
Yeah.
I can sort of push the boundaries with 24 Carats.
Yeah.
Jungle Things Audio though is definitely jungle.
Yeah.
Underground bass. The next release I have is sort of liquid. Oh, Bear Squatch. I've done one release with them just recently.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it's sort of like you kind of go, oh yeah, like.
Did you get a release on Kevlar Beats as well?
Oh yeah, Kevlar K2 as well. I can't forget about that. Neil was one of the first people that I kind of approached a long time ago now, and he sort of helped me to get to where I was. So, and his is like another one that's completely different. You can give him sort of like he will do what he likes to listen to as well.
Yeah.
But he has a different like kind of thing than Danny. You know what I mean? So
yeah, definitely. I've had a Tech Trance release with K2 with Neil George there. It's really good, isn't it? That there's so many different. Like different labels have got a different feel and a different approach, and in more than one way. So the way that you approach a label is different from label to label, 100%. As well as the approach that they've got towards the music that they're looking for. So it's yeah.
And each one teaches you something different as well, which is what I like as well. So I mean, I've done quite a few. Luckily, I'm in a position where I don't really self-release a lot of things. I just give them to labels and they get signed, so I'm very lucky, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know what I've done to deserve that, but it's good. But yeah, so there's a few.
So my next question, I know we briefly talked about this because I gave you a heads up of what we was going to talk about. So what would your life be like without music?
Yeah, I mean, as everyone could probably tell, like, my life I couldn't live without. Like, I can't. I worked as like 20 plus years as a chef. I couldn't work in a kitchen without music.
Mm-hmm.
Funnily enough, I have to listen to nice things like 80s and 90s music in the kitchen so nobody gets offended or anything. But like, I just love music. Like, I can't imagine life without music, you know. I couldn't, if I didn't have music, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be me, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If we're talking in a sense of if I wasn't DJing or if I wasn't producing, I would always be doing something, whether it was being released or not, I would still be doing something with music.
Yeah.
As I have a room full of synthesizers and I make samples and like I've done that for quite a lot as well.
Yeah.
Because I'm just an audio nerd, and so it's just me. That's me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you've had sample packs released as well, haven't you? Actually, like.
So
that's good.
Through Electronic Sounds Audio.
Yeah.
that's helped me grow as a producer, because like being the boss of Electronic Sounds, very, very picky. His sound is like amazing,
So
you know.
clean,
So
isn't
for
it?
me to
Yeah.
be able to
Yeah.
get some sample packs released professionally and done properly with him, you know, that was definitely something I wanted to achieve as well, but never thought I would.
Mm-hmm.
I got to say, it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
It's a lot more work than what people think.
Yeah,
It's not just recording
100%.
a few sounds.
I started with the idea of a sample pack. You know this anyway because I told you about it a couple of years ago. I was going to do like a jungle sample pack, and it's never come to fruition because there's so much involved in it. You've got to sit there and like you've got to make like effectively. You know, if you're going to do a sample pack like a jungle sample pack, you've got to have like 20 bass lines, 20 synth runs. You've got to have 20 RM breaks or whatever it is you're going to do. You've got to fill it up with like 100 different ideas for people to be able to do something with. And then you've mentioned this before, like outside of this conversation, but you've mentioned to me before with the sample pack, it's only really any good if you can then make a track from it. If you can't do something with that sample pack standalone at the end of having produced it, what good is it to other people, you know? So,
and it's all the editing and just, it's crazy. Like, it really is a lot of work. And these people, like, you look at these, like Dean and like some of the people, the big packs that kind of Dope Ammo, I know does some, and some of the ones in the industry, and it's just like, man, like I've done some packs with like 100 breaks, and just doing that, like you think, oh, that'd be easy, like it's just 100 break, but it's not, because you're not trying to. You got to pick the breaks, then you got to make them, then you got to chop them, then you got to.
And you got to try and make them original, so that they're not just the same break that everyone else has been doing.
People, things that want to be bought, like because people are spending money on that, like they want that pack, you know. So it's definitely something I thought I would never do, and I was very happy. I think I've released 4 or 5 now. Like it's been a few.
That's good.
So like I would definitely. I have to have music. That's it. That's the whole run of that. Like I couldn't. There wouldn't be me if there was no music.
No music, no gas. I hear you. My random question. You know this one's coming. My random question. So, how many pairs of Nike Air Max have you owned in your lifetime?
Yeah, this one, I don't know. I mean, I can even tell you now, I probably have about 30 in my house right now. I'm a shoe nerd. I love shoes. I don't even know. I mean, you're talking probably hundreds. I used to love Air Max BMW Classics, you know, from back in the day. So they're always my shoes. They're hard to find now. So now I stick with Air 90s. So yeah, hundreds.
That's mad. On the other side of the spectrum, do you know what? I've never actually owned a pair of Nike Air Max. Not in my life. Never.
God, really?
No, seriously, never owned a pair. It's crazy.
I
did have a pair of Nike Air Jordans in 1991. Jordan 4, maybe, the ones with like the webbing along the side.
Yeah, they're 4s. Yeah.
But
I'm actually just looking at a pair of them at the moment. But yeah, like I don't know. I'm a shoes are my weakness. I don't know. So
I work from home. Slippers are my weakness.
Yeah, well, props to my other weaknesses.
Right, so last couple of questions I've got for you, because we've been talking for quite a while now, and I've no idea, whether this is going to go down well, this interview, because this has been quite long, but it's been really informative as well, and it's good to kind of know, for myself, I know a little bit about you anyway. We've worked together musically, talk a lot outside of music as well. So I've had a couple of questions that have been from within the 24 Carat group as well. So how did you get onto 24 Carat Recordings?
Yeah, 24 Carats. I've always wanted to be on 24 Carats. I remember I was telling you the story of the 4 records that I started mixing with back in the day. One of them was a 24 Carat tune. Because 24 Carats always had graph on their front covers because they were done by fax. And obviously I do enjoy some art form of graffiti. So 24 Carats was always something that I just looked at and was like, oh my God, there was this one record label, one cover that they did with the 24 Carat. Like now it's like sort of the old 24 karat
Yep.
logo. So yeah, so we're talking probably 96, possibly. I had that. And as I say, this was one of the records that I used to just sit there and spin and just kind of look at and go, like, one day, you know, I want to be on a label. So that was kind of my first label that I kind of looked at and was like, 24 carats. So anyway, so, you know, time went on and I kind of, when I had the opportunity, when I first started making drum and bass and that, I approached DJ Uppercut from Kevlar, and like he sort of, I'd made some tracks for a clown fest, like a festival online. And he was at the time when he wasn't sort of taking tunes, but he sort of was, and he gave me the advice of sort of like go away and learn to, you know, get better at what you're doing and sort of build up a bit of a crew sort of thing, like build up like something that a record label would sort of want kind of thing, like when you approach him.
Yep.
So I kind of did. I kind of got myself a bit of an audience and a bit of a backing through, you know, what I was doing on the online festivals and things. And anyway, so one day I saw 24 Carat pop up on Facebook, and I was just like, oh my god, like they're still around, but I think they just kind of come back, sort of thing. And they were starting to, like, Danny was starting to build the label back up again. So I kind of bided my time, and then, you know, I was kind of really adamant about trying to get on like Kevlar Beats, but they were kind of, he wasn't really doing as much. So I thought, you know what, stuff it. And I even said this, and I remember this, and it, like Danny will, like, I'm pretty sure he'll remember. I sent him a message, and I kind of just said to him, look, I know I'm not the best. I'm willing to learn. I would love to learn. I would love, like, if I could do anything with 24 carats. And I said to him in the message, I said, sometimes you just have to shoot for the sky and see what happens. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so he just sort of, I think he understood with what I said to him, that like how passionate I was. Yeah. And then next minute, and I remember because I was at my daughter's basketball training, and I was messaging him in that, and then next minute I was just plonked in the 24 karat chat, like bang.
Yeah.
And he didn't really say anything, he just put me in it, and I was just sort of like, holy crap, you know, like I was like this like reading, and it was like big chat then, like, you know, you had Pablo, you had Wobbles, you had, you know, all these big people in there, and I was just like, holy crap, you know. And I think I just sort of was, at the time I was just in awe, like, of just being in this chat, and I still didn't really have anything to offer. Like, he kind of just put me in there, I think, to sort of learn. And so I just started bombarding him with these tracks, and they were pretty crap, I think. And he was, you know, Danny, he doesn't really mince his words too much, but I think he realised that, like, he kind of didn't want to just sort of go out there and just go, man, these are shit. So I think he sort of kind of tried to bite his tongue a little bit, but you know, through his patience and his guidance, like, and then with Uppercut sort of teaching me the other side of it as well, that's sort of how it was. And I remember the first track I got released was on the big Jungle, what was it, Jungle Warfare?
This is New School Jungle, or this is...
Yes, that's the one.
Yeah.
And at the time, I remember I was working with a guy, Fanatic 12,000. And we were making this track, and it was sort of like this, like the intro of the track was sort of not really drum and bass, it was more sort of jazzy, sort of hip-hoppy sort of vibe. And then I put the bass line to it, and literally I just knew straight away, because in the group chat everyone was talking about this, you know, trying to get a track on this album. And I just went, oh my god, like, this is the track, like, I have to send it to Danny. So I didn't even really, I felt really bad about it, like, I kind of finished it and then just kind of sent it to Danny, and then said to Fanatic, I said, oh, I've sent this to 24 Carat, like, hopefully something will come out of it. And then, yeah, that was, I think, the first one, that was it. So that's how I got on, and that was it. I just kind of annoyed everyone until I got to where I got today.
Just kept growing and growing. That's good. That's good. So next question, 24 carat question for you. So who who was your first collab with?
Yeah, well, that was you. There you go. I remember this because I think you that was your first track was on that
Yeah.
album
My
as well,
first
wasn't
release went onto the same album. Yeah. So the track was the first track that I had accepted by the label was the A&E in Piano, I think is what I titled the track, which is like a sort of like the fake road sort of little piano-y riff that I played, which I quite enjoyed making the track, to be fair. And the first time I positioned it to Danny, it had like a musical bass line. He was like, no, and he just said, look, if you're gonna have a musical, if you're gonna have like a melody, then you need to have like your basic bass line so that you can then sort of contrast it, rather than like if you've got a musical bass line and a musical melody, then you're going too far away from the roots of drum and bass, if you like, aren't you? So yeah, similar for me. So that was my first release was or track that was accepted was that track, and then that went with two others onto. So I had 3 tracks on that first album, which went out, and then releases started to happen after that. And it's an amazing journey, isn't it? To be fair, like when you first get a track accepted, and then all of a sudden it snowballs, doesn't it? You go from having one track accepted to EPs accepted and other labels being interested in you and approaching you, as opposed to it being like, because your early days in music production is all about literally just banging on the door, and you do wonder whether you're ever going to get it, a track signed or a track accepted or even listened to in some scenarios, because like that you can put out a lot of, I used to send tapes out back in the 90s. That's how old I am, do you know what I mean? So I used to send out tapes to record labels, and when I think about it now, it almost like embarrasses me to consider the quality of the music I was putting onto tape and then sending to a label and thinking I was going to get signed. But you've got to have those aspirations as well, haven't you? If you don't have like that desire to reach that goal, you're never going to reach it. If you think, I'm never going to get signed, you're never going to get signed. You've got to say, I'm doing that. That's on my radar.
That's kind of what Uppercut said to me, and that's sort of that was the defining moment, was when he said, like, you can't fanboy with these people, like they're your peers. You've got to be like with them. That's the thing. And as hard as it was in that group chat, like as I say, and it still is, like, because you're working with people like Danny Jink, Danny Styles, like and you kind of go, oh my god, like it's Danny Jink, but then like you can't, because it's like you got to go, well, this is just Danny, you know what I mean? Like, and I think that I've given this advice to a few people because it was the one thing that resonated with me when like Uppercut said it to me, was the difference being is I mean, you obviously have to have like a flair for it and a bit of a a tune to kind of give to them, but like if you start getting nibbles, you can't be fanboying with these people. I mean, you have to sort of go, these are my peers, like, this is the thing,
I love the way you word it like that, because it's so true, isn't it? It's like
it is like, and you still catch yourself, like you'll be like, oh my god, like so and so, but like you just kind of got to go, well, I deserve to sort of be here, like I've earned my right to kind of be there, whether it be because I wore Danny down to the point where he was just like, oh my god, just shut up. It doesn't matter, like you just kind of, you've earned that right, you know what I mean? And that's the hardest part, but that is the part, like that's the difference.
You're right. It's about being peers with the people that you're on the label with, as opposed to, like you say, being a fanboy and going, oh my god, I'd love to do that sort of thing.
The minute you can put that aside, you still got to respect them, because as we were saying before all of this, like some of these people have been around 20 years, 30 years, 10 years even, and not just around like dabbling, like they've been releasing and they've been doing things in the scene. So you always got to be humble and understand where they are and where you're coming up. But as long as you kind of, you don't treat them like, like put them on a pedestal so much, and just sort of realise that this is your crew, you know what I mean? Like, 24 Carats family. So like,
So
I think that's the important thing.
our collaboration, what was the track? Do you remember? It was a couple of years ago now, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
the piano tune. That was what
That
it was
was,
called, wasn't it?
yeah, the
Tune.
piano track was the first collaboration that we done, and it was accepted on the label, wasn't it? And it was never actually released. Sorry,
Yeah,
I've got
no,
junk
just
popping
kind
up
of
on my computer here. It was never actually released, and we put it out as a self-release vinyl,
yeah.
which
It's
it's
a
out
good
there.
tune. I
So,
really enjoyed it. I think it's even to now, like, I mean, I still think that's a good tune. Like, there's something different. It had a good vibe to it. And
Yeah.
the beats were nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, I think we did a couple of tunes though, didn't we? There was that one.
Yeah, we done that one, and then the other one was the rave stab.
Oh, the
where
Rave
you
Stab,
where
yeah.
you done the vocals to it, and then it was we had a stem master from V
Yeah.
or four. I really get confused.
Four.
Doug, yeah,
Yeah, I've never thought of IV. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that one was different though. That one was
Yeah.
like, I still think that was a good tune.
yeah,
I think if we now had our like obvious knowledge now,
yeah,
it would definitely be a lot better of a track.
yeah,
But
definitely.
the most exciting thing about that was because that kind of helped me put my feet in 24 karat and stand up sort of thing.
Yeah,
Until then, I sort of like I had that track on the. It was actually funny because at the time I was sort of suffering with not being able to sort of feel on a level with anybody, and I actually approached Wonders outside of the label, and I said to him because he was already signed to I can't remember. He had a couple of releases with some smooth groove or something.
yeah,
And I said to him, I said, how do you deal with labels? Like, how do you talk in like these chats, and how do you kind of hold your own? And he just kind of sort of said, be yourself, and all of this stuff, and things will happen. Like, and I was almost like dabbling with just saying, I don't think I can do the chat. But he kind of put me on the path and said, just sort of find someone and like talk to them because you're approachable and you talk and all this.
yeah,
And so it was you. I was just like, all right, and kind of you were always pretty active in the chat, so I just started talking to you, and yeah, we did those tunes, and that's sort of what helped me kind of stay in the chat and find my feet.
I'd babies at the time, so there was I was awake during the night where a lot of people
Yeah.
would be sleeping in the UK, so that we had an opportunity to kind of be able to connect on the time zone, if you like, where not always as easy to do that, is it? But yeah.
Yeah, so that was it. That
Yeah.
was sort of the next logical progression, and then from there it was just that was it. Then I got my own sort of. Well, actually, Danny said to me at the time, he said, you need to start working by yourself so you can
Yeah.
actually learn for yourself. And I even said to you, because we were going to do more, and I
Yeah,
said to you at the time, Danny's told me that I need to find myself, like, and do my own thing for a while,
yeah,
which I did. And that was probably the best thing, because otherwise I probably would have got stuck in this thing of just working with other people sort of thing. And it's only just been recently I've come back to sort of doing some collabs because I finally feel like I'm in my own zone with it, you know what I mean?
yeah.
But yeah, so that sort of, I disappeared from collabs after that, which it was good though, because it taught me.
Yeah,
And
it's important, isn't it, to hone your own sound and get to a point where you're confident in what you're doing with your own music to the degree that you just don't need anybody else. I think that's an important
100%.
part of being a producer, is to be able to say, do you know, I don't, because like being in a crew or a group where you can bounce off each other and learn and grow as a producer, and that's one of the biggest things about the 24 karat the chat, is that you can put a tune in there and say, look, can I get some ears on this, and you're going to get industry standard feedback. That it's not whiffly waffly, I think it's shit. It's if you to give you an example of this, I was sent a track yesterday by somebody outside of 24 karat that needed to be mastered, and they said, is it alright? And I said, reduce your sub bass at 50 hertz by 3 decibels and increase your snare by 3 decibels. And they sent it back, and it was much more balanced, and all of a sudden, bang. So like those little nuggets that you get from those group chats where you'll put something in and someone will say, you know, if you soften the bass, or Stepper Brown had some feedback, didn't he? From actually one of the brand new producers in the chat said, you get rid of that bit. You don't even need that buzzy. Just keep your sub and get rid of that mid bass. You don't even need that mid bass, and bang, the track just opened up massively. And I don't I'll go waffling off. I lose me points.
Sometimes it's better hearing it from the group chat than Danny, because Danny Styles is definitely like, he'll just go bang, that's it, and you're just like, wow. I mean, I've been told from Danny Styles that the 15 seconds after that bass drop, keep that and delete everything else, and you're just like, oh, okay.
I've had some harsh feedback. Actually, I made a track that it was. I actually self-released it in the end. It was potentially accepted on like a different label, and it was like a sort of reggae type, like drum and bass, but with an Amen layer in it, and. But it had me doing a vocal in there as well, so like in a reggae style, and I positioned it to Danny. It was like, it's horrific. It's like, I can't even listen to it. It's horrible. Don't ever bring that to my doorstep again. Do you know what I mean? And I was like, oh right, okay. But I really liked it. And I was like really proud of that track. And I was like, oh, that fit with 24 Carat. But it makes you realise as well, when you go through these journeys, you learn so much about what the label sound is, or what the label is looking for when you position tracks and they're rejected. And some people are really kind about it, and some labels you just wouldn't ever hear from. Like, and as part of the journey you've got to go through is to get signed to a label, so that you've got that kudos in the first place of other people then giving you the feedback. Because a lot of the time you just don't get the feedback in the first place, do you? To find out what you just don't know. You just don't hear from them. It's not been accepted. End of story. And they just have to live with it and cry into your pillow for the rest of it.
That's about it.
So before we kind of finalise this interview, because we have been talking for a bit, I'm going to ask you two more questions. One is, what are your top 2 tracks from 24 Carat recordings? And then I'll ask you if you want to give any shout outs. So we'll finish there.
I've sort of been thinking about this. I really, off that This Is New School Jungle album that we first released on, there's and this will always be one of my favourites, there was a Danny Styles and MC Sass track.
Yeah.
And I've had to sort of, I think it's called Join In.
Yeah.
I'm trying to...
I think it's Join In.
Join In, yeah. That is still one of my favourites, one of my favourite tunes of all time, actually. I just love that tune. MC Sass is just amazing. I've never really listened to too much of his stuff, but now every time I hear him, I'm just like, oh my god. And then I think I have quite a lot, so 2's really hard, but the other one was probably Some. I do love Some.
Yeah. Production is amazing, isn't it?
His production is amazing. I love jungle, and what got me into jungle in the first place was hip hop sound over stuff you could dance to. And Some nails it every single time. So I haven't got a favourite of his, but it would have been the Sound Clash Weapon release, which I think had 4 tracks on it from memory. But yeah, because all of his tunes are just sick.
I love nails it every single time, doesn't he? Nails it every time.
As you know, I love chopping up my breaks. I love drums. I'm very drum orientated. So Some I just always look up to. He's just next level, you know. Probably another honourable mention that I can't think of straight away, but a lot of the Wobbles tunes when he was around. I don't know if I really know what happened to him, but I used to love Wobbles tunes. They're always really good.
Through the genre around a bit, didn't he? He wouldn't stick to. It's good.
Yeah, he did a bit of hip hop styles, but then he did that I can't even remember. It was a mainstream song, but he did a remix of that. And that was awesome. He was one of those, he would drop something in the chat for everyone to listen to, and you'd just be like, oh my god, this is amazing. And he'd just be like, oh, I don't know, and he honestly meant it. He wasn't just trying to blow smoke up his ass or anything. He really doubted himself a lot of the time, and I was would be these tunes are amazing, you know what I mean? Or he'd be I'm trying to learn this technique, and he'd nail it. Like, I'm learning this thing about a bass line, and then he would just have this like amazing bass line that he would just have on this tune, and you'd just be like, man, like, you nailed it. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
Wobbles was someone, and then, but I mean, as I say, I mean, there's heaps. Like, there's heaps of them. Like Stepper Brown's pumping out tunes that are like,
Man, he makes so many tunes. So many
I
tunes.
just I did a tribute mix of his from all his Omni stuff, and I was listening through that and just going, these tunes are amazing. Danny Jenk, like obviously I've worked with him a bit, but like I listened to his tunes, and like he's someone that I try to sort of be like, as in not his style or anything, but just like his way of doing things and
Yep.
his tunes. And
he's prolific as well, isn't he?
so-
He can literally knock out a track in like 2 hours, 3 hours, bang. Like from being like a concept to being a fully mastered track. So it's
Yeah, you'll finish a tune before you even send him the stems.
Yeah.
You'll be like, oh, I'm just going to send over the stems. Oh, I've done it. And it's just like, what the hell? Like, but yeah, I mean, that's why I enjoy working with him. Like, like people like yourself, we work pretty quickly. So I always enjoy working with people that. And Danny is one I will send something over, and I'll go to bed, and usually I wake up and it's just there. Like, I finished, and it's just like, dang. But I also like how he changes his style up.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
he,
he's not
like,
he's not stuck in one format. He's like he's made liquid tracks. He's jungle.
it's
He's
easy
like
to sort of. It's easy to go, yeah, I can bang out a tune if it's just another jump up tune or whatever, then the same sort of technique and all of this. But, like when it's just like something completely different every time, you just go, oh my God, like, and none of them are rushed. Like, they don't sound rushed, they sound finished. And
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's definitely, like, I mean, coming up with, Stapler, he's doing like some amazing things lately as well.
Yeah, his pace is increasing now, isn't it? Now he seems to be getting into a
Yeah,
good flow.
like
It's
he's
good.
kind of going good guns. And then Bren started off saying, I'm never going to make any tunes.
Yeah.
And now he's just pumping them out.
Yeah,
But I
pumping
love
out,
Bren because
just,
it's like he's
yeah.
got these like, he's got the knowledge. Like he's like the
Yeah.
oracle of like jungle and that.
Yep.
So like, his tunes coming from things that like haven't been done before, or like they're his way of doing things,
Yeah.
which I like really rate. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I mean, I rate everybody in 24 carats. That's why I'm proud to be a 24 carat like artist and that. I don't think there's anything shit coming out of there. And I think a lot of people trying to like in 24 carats, they're pioneering sound. I know we talked about this sort of before we were having the interview,
Yep.
but we were saying like a lot of the sounds, like being done 30 years ago sort of thing,
Yeah.
but like 24 carats doesn't fall into that category. I mean, some of the stuff Danny Styles puts in there, it's not even jungle, but like you just go, man, this is sick, you know what I mean? So, yeah, so, but definitely some in that 24, Danny Styles and MC Sass tune, I love that tune. That's still probably one of my favourite tunes, at least in the last 10 years. Just because it says soiree in it, I think that's cool.
Nice. That'd be something for people to go and have a look at. So if you, and I'm going to throw this in at this point, just like a little shameless plug for 24 Carat Recordings. If you actually go onto Juno Download and search the label as opposed to the individual artist, that's probably the easiest way to get a very, very quick snapshot on just the depth of tracks that have been released over the last couple of years, because there's a lot. I mean, you know this as well, but like there's a lot. There's like this year alone, scheduled up until end of July, August of this year. There'll have been 102 tracks released at 24 Carat Recordings. So that in itself is like it's a breadth of work, isn't it? So bringing in new artists. So there's some new energy coming into the label as well, which is nice. It's really good.
Yeah, keeping it fresh.
Yeah,
it's got to be.
Like I say, shameless plug towards the end of the interview, but that's where we are at 24 Carat. Any shout outs? Who do you want to give your shout outs to?
Oh gosh. Well, I mean, got to give a shout out to 24 Carats. 24. All the people in 24 Carats, all the Shell, the underground bass crew, my Inspire family.
Yep.
I'd be nothing without the Inspire family. I've got to give a big shout out to the Cantina crew,
Yeah,
the
definitely.
Clown Army.
Yep.
Clown Army, I would like, you know, Piero, the Asa Clown, definitely wouldn't have been where I am without him. Got to give a big shout out to Electronic Sounds, as always. Um, yeah, probably that. I mean, all the crews. Everyone knows who I shout out to. The Poynt crew. I mean, I've got to give a big shout out to the Poynt crew. There's a big mob of us, which is what makes me sort of, you know, get to where I get to. That are just relentless. They help me promote because they know I suck at it. They like always support me in what I do. You know, I got my crew that come in on the radios and watch me every couple of weeks. You know, as I say, big love to the Poynt crew each and every time. Yeah, that's it. I think big shout to you. As I say, you we've kind of been on the same journey together, which is nice. I think I feel like you're sort of like my drum and bass brother in that way because we've always sort of been on the same level and going the same way sort of thing.
Yeah.
Got the same mentality, I think. We both just live to sort of drum and bass, like, you know, that's it. Teach people and all of that stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. Help people grow. I think one of my biggest things that I think to myself when on my journey is I want to take as many people as I can with me on that journey. I'm not interested in just doing it for myself because I won't get into that side of the conversation because we're at the end of the interview. But like that's can open up a whole new sort of there. But yeah, for me, that's
it's not a competition. We should all win.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Try and share and grow.
As long as you're not a dick, and as long as your heart's in the right place, and you're really all about the music, you know, we should all win. There's no competition, and the people who think there is, then they're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
Because that's not what music is. No one wins. We're all
music and art
together,
isn't about competition, is it? It's about sharing.
It's about bringing people up, and that's why I mean Danny Styles is sort of like the dad to me, because he's all about that. I even just sent him a message yesterday to thank him because, you know, behind the scenes, the stuff you don't see is like he's given these tracks to people that I couldn't get them to.
Yep.
He's taken it upon himself. He doesn't have to do any of that. I mean, I know it's his label and he reaches out for himself for the label to grow and that. But he honestly wants to see us do well, you know?
Yeah.
And that's rare, you know? Like, and it's selfless. It's not just like, I did this because I'm so awesome or whatever. You don't even know. Like, I wouldn't have even known, like, how these persons got these tunes. But they told me, and I was just like, well, you have to thank him, you know what I mean? Because he wasn't going to say anything.
No,
And so that's sort of what the Poynt crew is, and that's why I thank them. I surround myself with people that really want to help each other and lift each other up and that. And it's rare these days to find that, you know? So as I always say, I'm very lucky. I'm very lucky to sort of be where I am. I don't know how I got here, but I'm very thankful for it.
You're there. Good stuff. I'm gonna press the stop button. See whether it tells me how long we've actually been talking for. Has it got
probably like 5 hours.
An hour and 33 minutes. I think that's probably a good time to stop. That's a decent length of interview. I've no idea where this is going to go. I think I'll point it in Danny Styles' direction. We probably put this onto Facebook, I would imagine. Or something along those lines, or maybe even YouTube, so that it can be accessed quite easily by a multitude of people. Really appreciate you taking the time, because you have got a busy life. We all have, and I know you've got a lot going on. So I really appreciate you taking the time to just have this chat and share your journey.
Yeah, no, it's been awesome. Thanks for having me. It's been awesome. I really appreciate it.
That's good. It's good. I'll speak to you again in probably a couple of seconds.
No, it's too easy.